Welcome to The Explainer. We're diving into a really simple but powerful idea today. What goes around comes around. And we're going to explore it through the story of a fruit seller whose way of doing business held a pretty surprising secret. So let's start with this question. Meet a guy named Josh. He's a fruit seller, and to all of his competitors, his methods made absolutely zero sense. But here's the thing. His success, it was undeniable. So what was going on? Okay, so picture this bustling market, right? In the middle of it all is Josh. And to everyone else, he just seemed, well, careless, wasteful. Honestly, they thought he was kind of a fool. But the results he was getting told a completely different story. While all the other sellers were whispering and kind of mocking him for dropping fruit from his overflowing baskets, they just couldn't ignore one simple fact. Josh sold out every single day. Sure, they were jealous, but they were also completely missing the point of what he was doing. So what was his big secret? It wasn't some genius business move you'd read about in a textbook. No, it was something much, much deeper than that. Something rooted in his own past and a really powerful sense of compassion. You see, Josh grew up really poor. He remembered what it was like to be truly hungry, like one meal a day hungry. And he never forgot that feeling. So now that he had his own business, he just felt this deep desire to help other people who were struggling just like he did.
And his method, wow, it was just genius in its kindness. He totally understood that people have their pride, you know? So by accidentally dropping the fruit, he let them get a gift without the embarrassment of charity. He was preserving their dignity.
And get this, he wasn't just doing this every now and then. For years, he secretly gave away nearly a quarter of everything he made. Just like this. He never wanted any thanks for it. For him, just helping was its own reward.
But, of course, stories like this always have a turning point. And one day, his quiet life of just giving, it got completely shattered. A crisis hit that wouldn't just test Josh, but the entire community he'd been quietly supporting all this time.
Turns out his wife, Jane, got really, really sick. We're talking about a life-saving operation that was just crazy expensive. And Josh, in his generosity to everyone else, suddenly realized he hadn't saved enough for his own family's crisis. So in total desperation, he goes to the other fruit sellers, hoping for a loan. And what does he get? Just cold, hard rejection. The first vendor basically sneered at him, blaming his so-called foolishness for his money problems. And it didn't stop there. Another vendor just lays into him, right there in front of everyone. Publicly humiliates him. To them, he wasn't a neighbor who needed help. He was just a bad investment, a terrible businessman not worth the risk. It's just incredible, isn't it? They'd always seen his overflowing baskets and completely missed the point. They thought he was showing off, being arrogant. They took his greatest quality and twisted it into some kind of major flaw. And after hearing all that, what could he do? He just turned and headed for home, completely defeated. No money, and it felt like no hope left at all. But here's where the story takes a turn. Because on that long, lonely walk home, something amazing started to happen. This was far from over. So as Josh is walking, he kind of notices a couple of people behind him. No big deal. But then a few more join, and then a few more. Before he knows it, there's this huge, quiet crowd of villagers just following him. He gets home, he's sitting with his wife, and there's this knock at the door. He tries to ignore it, but it gets louder, more insistent. So finally, he opens it, and he is just floored. There's this huge crowd of people from all the villages around, standing right there. Then this one old woman, Helga, she steps forward. Doesn't say a thing. She just kneels down and puts a few dollars, some change, right at his feet and gives his arm a little squeeze. It wasn't a lot of money, but you just knew it was everything she had. And then, after Helga, another person stepped up and did the exact same thing. And another. And another. For almost an hour, this stream of people, one by one, came forward, each giving what little they could to help the man who had so quietly helped them. And this is the part that just gets you, right? Josh thought all his little acts of kindness were a total secret. But they weren't. Not at all. Word had spread like wildfire about what happened at the market, and this community he had built without even knowing it, one piece of fruit at a time, they all came together for him. This whole story just lays out some really powerful truths, doesn't it? That kindness, even quiet kindness, rarely goes unnoticed. That giving with dignity is just as important as the gift itself. And maybe most of all, that your real security isn't money in the bank, it's the community you build. Because what goes around really, truly does come around.
So it really leaves us with a question to think about for ourselves. What's a little piece of fruit that you could drop for someone today? You just never know what kind of ripple that one small act might create.